is a weird game, and it's on right now. And Montana State, Brian Salonen, all kinds of things going on a Wednesday afternoon to say nothing of some wings. How about that? It is Tutel Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. Hi, how are you? Great to be with you here on a Wednesday afternoon. Hope you are having a fantastic day. We are broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula, Highway 83 in Sealy, online at kurtzpolaris.com. You can find us online as well, 1029ESPN.com. That's where you go to listen live. You listen to the stream. That way, nobody knows. Your boss doesn't see you on the radio and all that kind of stuff. You got the earbuds in and you're having yourself a nice time with us, and we appreciate that very much also when you are out of market, anywhere in the world. If you got a hot spot, you got Tutel Nuanez with you there on the stream. The stream brought to us by Opportunity Bank, your local bank, your opportunity. If you want to call, you're welcome to do that as well. 329-1899. 329-1899. All guests join us via the Rankage Brothers RV phone number. You're going to need that phone number today because we are going to give you wings, okay? We got some trivia, got some baseball trivia for you today in light of the fact that there's the ALDS going on. 3 of the 4 series going to a decisive 5th game. How great is that? So we'll get into some of that. Also, I know Coulter's got his trivia lined up for you too. So there you go. Here's our show outlook. Here's what we got coming up. We're going to talk a little bit about the University of Montana State as we continue. Well, we're going to just do this all season long. I mean, it's the Grizz and it's the Cats, man. And this is what we talk about around here. This is what we are up to. So we will get through all that stuff, and especially some stuff around the Big Sky where all of a sudden UC Davis, Eastern Washington, where are we at with these teams around the Big Sky? And yet here comes Sacramento State, the dark horse, rising up, looking like a really, really good team in the Big Sky. So we'll try and lay that all out for you. We will do the Wing It Wednesday. As I mentioned, we will get through all that. We were also going to talk some Montana basketball today. The announcement of a major facilities upgrade for the University of Montana basketball teams, where the Grizzly football team used to have its locker room and kind of a weight room and all that kind of stuff before the Champion Center was built. Well, the Champion Center gets built. They move out of that area. Now all that space is open, and now they're doing a major upgrade and renovation to it, so we'll get into that stuff as well. In the next hour, we'll do some more Wing It Wednesday, but we also, today, Wednesday, our ESPN Roundtable, the subject of the Roundtable this week, Brian Salonen, our good buddy Brian Salonen, who is a former Grizzly football player, former Great Falls High football player, former Dallas Cowboy football player, joining us. And current, by the way, Hellgate assistant coach for the Hellgate Knights football team. Hellgate Sentinel, huge crosstown rivalry. This is for the city championship. Both these teams 1-0 in their games against the Big Sky Eagles, so they play each other, and now this will be for the city championship on Friday evening. So we get into all kinds of stuff with him. Very, very cool to have him on, and we appreciate his time as well. So there you go. There's our show outlook. It is brought to us by MissoulaGutterCleaning.com. Missoula Gutter Cleaning, your most fun, most insured gutter cleaning service, MissoulaGutterCleaning.com. Coulter, it's a bye week for the Montana Grizzlies. Here's the question. They're 5-1, okay? And they have been rolling, especially in the last 3 weeks, with their Monmouth game as their last conference game, or non-conference game, and then 2 conference games that they're 2-0. The question revolves around the hashtag that they themselves put into, the public sphere, RTD, return to dominance. Have they arrived, the Montana Grizzlies, in their return to dominance?
No.
I completely agree with you in that. And
here's one thing.
If they were 6-0 with a 15, 20-point win over Oregon, you still could not answer yes to that question now.
I agree. And so much of the first half of every season is judging based you're pinning quality wins on what the team you beat was like last year. In other words, UC Davis, we expected to be really good coming into this year. They were as high as number 4 in the country, which is what they were ranked when Montana beat them soundly. But for all we know, UC Davis might suck. They might not win another game. That's unlikely, but they might not.
Sure.
Idaho State might suck. I guess that if the Bob Stitt era taught people anything, it's that you can't analyze a lot of this stuff until you have the full picture. Because a lot of times, if you just try to ride high on what you thought was such a great win, a lot of times you're just going to get egg on your face.
Right.
I mean, Montana hit a fever pitch when they beat North Dakota State to start the 2015 season in the first game ever under Bob Stitt. They never reached that high again. And I don't know if you can reach that high because, again, that was one of only 8 losses that NDSU has had in the last 8 years. So pretty high bar to surpass.
Sure.
But I just think that getting too high on yourself is one of the worst things you can do in college football. Montana will not have, quote-unquote, hashtag RTD return to dominance for me until they make 3 consecutive Final Fours in the FCS playoffs.
See, and this is
because that's what the bar was. If you want to return to where you were, I mean, it was Final Four or bust for a decade or more at Montana.
And this is obviously a conversation for us to talk about. Bobby Hauck would have nothing to do with this, certainly. But
right. Bobby Hauck will say we have not RTD'd until he's celebrating his second straight national title, I think.
Yeah, probably something like that. But here's the point is, and this was your point is well taken, because there's no way that you achieve that this year. If Montana won a national championship, I think you could say that is that.
Totally.
But anything short of that this season, you can't, because here's the thing. You're still dealing with, not dealing, that's the wrong term, it sounds negative, but you've got the guys that you've had since Bobby Hauck has been here by and large. Mm-hmm. You can't be a dominant program until you have gone through a cycle of graduation and cultivation of kids.
Right.
At least once, and continue to. Right. First of all, they haven't even achieved yet. We don't know what they're going to do.
Exactly.
We don't know what they're going to do even this season. But let's say they go and they won the Big Sky Conference this year and made some run in the playoffs. If they win the Big Sky Conference, they'll probably have a seed. They win a home game after a bye week. They're in the Final Four of the national playoff. If that happened, they're in the quarterfinal, excuse me, at that point, and then see what happens there. If they did that, that's a hugely successful season, no doubt. Right now in year 2 for Bobby Hauck.
Yep.
It would not be until you graduate Dalton Sneed, Jerry Louis McGee, Jesse Sims, and you come back and
Dante Olson,
yes, certainly, and you do that again, that you can say, okay, Montana is quote unquote dominant again. And again, I mean, it's a moving target, isn't it? Because dominance, I don't think, as good as Montana can be, I don't think they're going to do 87-17 or whatever it was.
80-17 under Bobby Hauck, 37 round. Yeah, 119 wins between 2000 and 2009 under Joe Glenn and Bobby Hauck combined.
A 4-year conference run that had one regular season loss in conference in it, I don't think that's in the offer for any team in the Big Sky Conference again. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but we won't know that answer until 2024 or whatever. It's going to be a long time before you're able to say, oh, yeah, look at Montana rolling. Now, Montana could still be the best team and the consensus best team in the Big Sky Conference and not be, quote, dominant the way they were before. But look, if you go 7-2 or 6-2 in the Big Sky Conference and you win the conference, what more do you need? You could go 8-0 and win the conference, of course, and maybe they will do that at some point. By the way, so might Montana State. I mean, the way it's going right now, Coulter, and here's my, I don't know if it's my concern. It's my open question, because guess who else has not gone through a cycle of graduation and bringing the next guys up? And that's Jeff Choate at Montana State. He actually has gotten this is the first group that he brought in that is now matured at a football level and is playing very, very well.
Totally.
But this is
but a great deal of their best players are either guys that he brought in as transfers, which he had a distinct advantage in the pipeline that he had as the D-line coach at the University of Washington. Mm-hmm. He basically just went and recruited 3 guys who weren't as good as the other first-round draft picks and said, hey, do you want to play? I recruited you before. You already like me. You already know me. Come here. That well is dry.
That's
now.
right. That's right. And look, it's
a lot of the other guys though are the 5th-year seniors. Braden Conkle, Josh Hill, Logan Jones, Mitch Broth. These guys came to play for Rob Asher.
Sure, and maybe you reopen the well with Kane Ione, right? I mean, he's been over there.
Sure.
So you have new guys, and they have open relationships, all over the place. So you don't know how it's going to go. But the point is, this is a senior heavy class that's a really good one at Montana State. When they graduate next year, we don't know what the Bobcats look like next season.
Right.
And
still got Troy Anderson. Big step. But
that helps.
I agree with what you're saying.
But and then Montana. Well, who's playing quarterback? I mean, you think it's Cam Humphrey? Do you know? We don't know. Obviously, you presume you got Sammy Cam Samari still there. Offensive line still going to be intact. But look, point is, it's college football. It changes every single year, and until you have proven year in and year out that you can quote reload, not rebuild. The dominant question is one that is not going to be answered until kind of over time, and you're kind of looking back a little bit. So that's my problem with this. That said, there's not a practical vision. I mean, you can say whatever you want about Oregon, or if you're Montana State, you can say whatever you want about Texas Tech, but there's not a practical vision. Certainly for the Grizzlies in the way they've done it, in which they could have done anything better than what they've done. I mean, they have been as good, it seems to me, as it would have been possible for them to be this season. And that is dominant. They have been dominant in 6 games, in 5 games, okay, whatever. Or in this season, they have been heretofore, halfway through, on the bye week, dominant.
Definitely. But to reach the level that the bar used to be at, Montana, for the last 5 years, it was might be a contender in the Big Sky Conference. Now they're certainly a contender for the Big Sky Conference title, but that's still not where they were. At one point, they were the only team in the Big Sky Conference. I mean, everybody else was playing for second place. Just book it. I mean, 12 straight league championships. Right. It's an astounding run.
Yep.
Since then, Eastern Washington has won 5 out of the last 8, or shared. But they've had dips in the middle of that, too. They've had multiple years where they've gotten 6-5, missed the playoffs. They haven't had a losing season this decade, but they've had dips. Even when Bo Baldwin was there and they were rolling, I mean, the year after they won the national championship, they had Bo Levi Mitchell, the Walter Payton Award winner and everything. People get that history confused. Bo Levi Mitchell actually won the Walter Payton Award the year after Eastern Washington won the national championship, and that Eastern Washington team did not make the playoffs. He just threw for 10 million yards because their offensive line was terrible, and all he could do was huck it down the field. And, he was the most prolific passer in the country, but they were not nearly as good. They missed the playoffs the year after winning the national championship. The only other comparable real run was Montana State at the beginning of the decade. They went 21-3 in conference play, 3 straight 7-1 years, won 3 straight titles. That said, that run a little bit tarnished because, like in 2011, they got wiped in Bozeman by the Grizz. And then went into the playoffs and barely won a game, and then they blocked an extra point against New Hampshire to advance, and then got routed by Sam Houston. So the season ended a little bit lackluster. To get back to where Montana was, I think it's going to take a very sustained, very concerted effort. Just as you said, it takes a lot more than one season. But Montana, they are definitely on the right track right now. They have some special weapons, especially offensively, that they have not had in quite some time. And so I think that's a good step. I also think that they have the thing that this new era of Grizz, the new era of this Grizz program under Bobby Hauck has, the No Grizz program has had before it, is exceptional internal facilities. Montana's had the best external facility in the conference in the country in Washington Grizzly Stadium forever. Bobby Hauck, his first time around, was using the locker room that they might build, the training facility they might build in recruiting. It never came to fruition under Bobby Hauck. Well, now it has. They have the Champion Center. What sort of recruits can you get with that as your one of your carrots in the recruiting game? We'll see. But Montana's right on track. But to me, you got to be multiple-time Big Sky Conference champion and making multiple deep playoff runs to be returned to the dominance that the University of Montana once held.
No question. This is interesting this weekend, too, Colter, because Montana State hosting Sacramento State. And then guess who Sacramento State hosts the following weekend? University of Montana.
Yep.
So you know that, Montana fans, and I presume that there's going to be a big coaches party at some undisclosed locale this Saturday to sit down and do a little spy job for the end of the season.
I think the party is the wrong phrase. Mandatory attendance. Bring your notebook.
Yeah, right.
There's not going to be some snacks and beers. It's going to be maybe some beers. Who knows? But it's going to be a take your notes. We're DVRing this. We're watching it in real time. Then we're stopping it and rewinding it and doing it all over again.
100% there will be snacks.
Well, yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? Let me ask you this. Bobby Hauck, okay, on his, football couch.
Yeah.
I
don't think Coach Hauck snacks a lot. He likes running and lifting.
That's my question. What's in the bowl?
Carrot sticks.
Yeah. Yeah, he's doing.
He might have some pretzels over here for the offensive line guys.
Do you think he has the ranch? Does he do the ranch dip, or do you think it's straight veg?
I can't really talk about Bobby Hauck's lifestyle habits other than the ones I've seen, but I know for a fact that he still I don't know what he eats like, but I know that he jogs, runs, hikes, and lifts religiously. Okay. I mean, he runs to and from practice every single day.
Well, maybe then he can indulge. Maybe it's ice cream cones.
It's true.
Because he knows he's going to get his work in.
It's true. It's true. I heard a funny story about when he, Bobby Hauck's legendary for making guys that are late to class or miss class hike the up.
Yeah.
6 a.m. hike. I won't say the names, but when he first got here, a lot of guys, Keen Curran actually even told us on our ESPN roundtable, he said, hey, I kind of didn't take it seriously. I showed up 10 minutes late for class.
Keenan's on the record.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden I've got to go up top of the M. I heard a couple other guys, they reported they were going to hike the M, but then they got halfway up and they're like, we could probably get away with, taking a rest or maybe not finishing the deal. And it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and here comes Bobby Hauck walking down the trail. Say, hey, boys, you going to finish the hike? This is such classic Coach Hauck.
He's been camping up there.
He's probably already run it twice.
Yeah.
Not even sweating.
Yeah.
I'll finish it with you. I'll do my last lap here.
Go up again.
No,
I'll tell you what. By the way, just as I've mentioned this before. I think that maybe not even in on this platform here, but if you are a jogger up the M trail, stop. Just stop, okay? Because you're humiliating us. I'm at the third turn back on a knee, weeping in pain. I'm not 17% up the doggone thing, even to the letter, to say nothing of the top of Mount Sentinel. And here comes, the world beaters up there. Now listen, there's a lot of mountains. There's a lot of them here. It's called Montana, people. You know why? Because there's mountains everywhere. You got to come humiliate me right here next to the city while you run on by me on the way up. Go run up a mountain by yourself somewhere. Walk up this. There's families. There's dogs. Don't come here to train for your up and over the Alps, campaign that you're doing. Speaking of, shout out Justin Engel.
Back in the day when I used to actually have time to train vigorously, we used to hike that thing with weighted backpacks, and one of the worst injuries of my life was when we jogged up and then we jogged down, and on the way down, I lose my footing and roll my ankle so hard. And with a weighted backpack on, I'm rolling down the switchback, like 2 or 3 full rolls, and I don't even care about the bruises on my back and my arms because my ankle is it's the size of a tree trunk.
You want to add?
And my friend Carter, who is one of the most maniacal workout freaks ever, he's got also the worst asthma of all time. He cannot stop laughing. He's having a full-fledged asthma attack because he's laughing so hard. And I'm like, dude, I got to go to the hospital. And he can't breathe. And I'm like, dude, you're going to die. My foot's going to fall off. Can someone please help us?
You want to add to the level of seriousness of this? I did it with a weighted backpack. It was a kid in it. You go,
like a 40-pound dense one.
The kids love going up the M.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, guess what? At some point, they're like, Dad, can you carry me? And, I have to because they really can't do it. So into the pack they go. The up, it takes a little more. It's a little, but the coming down, and Coulter, I'm not a bastion of balance like some of these gymnasts. You know what I mean? It's not my strongest point. I'm taking 3-inch little steps on the gravel and this stuff because I'm terrified that I'm going to slip and fall. And, it could be a trip to the hospital and wouldn't be me injured when I land on my own son, rolling down the M trail. Anyway.
Back on track. How about the gauntlet, though, that Sac State's going to have to run here?
Right.
Jeff Choate says, I think they're one of the 12 best teams in the country. They got an absolute chance to prove it right now because they already beat number 22 Eastern Washington, their first win over a ranked FCS opponent since 2012. Now they got number 6 Montana State in Bozeman, and then they got number 8 Montana coming to town the next week. Then they're at Cal Poly. We know that that's a trap no matter what Cal Poly's like, and I think Cal Poly's better than people. I've heard all around town from Grizz fans that they're like, oh, the Cats barely squeaked by. Cal Poly's terrible. They're not. Cal Poly's not terrible. Cal Poly's good.
Yeah.
They're not great. They're not as good as they have been, but they're not as bad as they've been the last 2 years either.
Nobody in the state of Montana should be saying anything about any win that ends up being a win over Cal Poly because we've seen that triple option just be a trap in wait for many teams.
Right, and who's given Montana more headaches in the last 10 years than Cal Poly?
Nobody.
So that's their month of October for Sac State. Then they play Weber State, number 4 team in the country. So they play 3 of the top 10 teams in the country in the next 5 weeks. That's crazy. And then they're at NAU, which we know is a bizarre place to play. They're at Idaho, which is a bizarre place to play. And then they have their rivalry game, the Causeway Classic, against UC Davis. And that could be a nothing to lose game for Davis. It could be a win and you're in game for Davis. It could be a win and you're in game for Sac State, but Davis could knock them out of the playoffs. That is an absolute gauntlet. I mean, that is teams 1 through 8 in the preseason Big Sky poll.
Right. That was the thing, right? When we kind of laughed off Sacramento State because we didn't know what they would be, and then we looked at their schedule and said they have to play the 8 best teams in the conference, no exceptions, period.
I think when I put pencil to paper, I had them going 2-6.
Yeah.
But that's not – I didn't think that they were actually like the 10th best team in the conference. I thought they could be like the 6th best. They just had to play the other 6 that I thought that were better than them coming into the year. And I actually think that they're a little bit better than I thought they were going to be.
Right now, to me, they're the 4th best team in the Big Sky.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm writing down my Big Sky Power rankings right now, Sacramento State's number 4. And
Sacramento State has a couple of the most dangerous players in the league. I mean, Kevin Thompson, when he's healthy, is one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the country. I mean, I think 2 years ago he was a 17-touchdown, 3-interception guy. Last year before he got hurt, I think he'd only thrown 2 picks. I think he's only thrown 5 interceptions in his career as a college starter. Granted, he's only played in 15 games, which is about, give or take, 2/3 of the games he could have been available for because he's been so hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But he takes care of the football. His efficiency rating's through the roof. He's got a career efficiency rating of 180. I mean, that's amazing in college football. And Elijah Dotson is, if he's not the best, he's certainly the fastest running back in the Big Sky Conference.
Quick update, top of the 3rd inning in Atlanta.
I cannot believe that score.
Bases are loaded for the St. Louis Cardinals. They are up 13-0 over Atlanta in the 3rd inning, and the bases are loaded. 2 outs.
Jeez. Pour it on. Robert Chase, pour yourself another one.
I mean, my goodness. Hey, boys and girls, do not listen to the Trail tomorrow morning, okay?
No, this is Robert's dream come true, though, because he gets here at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
He's usually out of here by 3 or 3:30 anyways. This game, first pitch was at 3.
Oh, yeah.
So now he's going to be able to watch it, celebrate, and go to bed on time.
I know, but he's going to come in euphoric, but it might be a little bit of a stroll for our dear friend Robert Chase tomorrow as the Cardinals are headed to the NLCS. I hate saying that sentence again. It's Tutel Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Hey, boys and girls, you want to do a Wing It Wednesday? You want some wings to the Desperado Sports Tavern? It's a rhetorical question. Of course you do. 329-1899. 329-1899. Give us a call right now. Colt has got the questions. You got the answers, and we will send you for the best wings in the city of Missoula right after this. 329-1899. Call right now. Been telling you about MissoulaGutterCleaning.com. Let me tell you a little bit more. Okay? Gutter cleaning is messy. It's muddy. It's wet. And it can even be dangerous. You get up on a ladder, or worse yet, you get up on your roof and think you're going to come at this thing from above. You slip and take a fall. You think coming down the M is dangerous? Try coming down off the edge of your roof and falling off that cliff onto the cement walkway. No, thank you. You call MissoulaGutterCleaning.com. You go online at MissoulaGutterCleaning.com. Call them up, too, if you want to. You get your estimate from them right now. They're going to tell you what's going on. They're going to let you know what it's going to be. You let them come over. They're insured. They're fun. They're competent. They got all the tools to get it done well, get it done safely. And then at the end, you get $20 to your favorite brewery or coffee shop. How great is that? MissoulaGutterCleaning.com. And You get your time back. This weekend, you want to watch football? Of course you do. You got stuff going on? What am I doing? I got an anniversary. Okay, I got no time to be cleaning out my gutters. MissoulaGutterCleaning.com. That's where you go online. Wing It Wednesday next.
This is Mike Nugent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Berkshire Hathaway provides Western Montana with full-time real estate professionals for you whenever you need us. Our reputation as the state's most knowledgeable and available real estate group has helped build unmatched trust in the Garden City and statewide. If you have been thinking of making a real estate move in the short or long term, give me a call. No pressure, no expectations. Just professional opinions and service at whatever pace you are comfortable with. Give me, Mike Nugent, a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
Hey folks, Ryan Tutel here with Josh from The Advocates. If you've been in a car accident and need help dealing with the insurance company, you should give The Advocates a call.
It doesn't cost anything at all to call, and I'd be happy to talk with you about your situation. You don't want to have to be dealing with contacting the insurance companies and setting up your claim. We can do that for you from start to finish. We'll take the hassle out of the process so you can just focus on getting better.
There you go, folks. If you've been injured in an accident, give Josh a call, 640-4444, or online at montanaadvocates.com. There are a lot of lawyers, but you deserve an advocate.
The Polaris Factory Authorized Clearance is here. The world's best-selling off-road lineup is priced to move with financing as low as 3.99% and rebates up to $3,500. Live life wide open in a high-performance RZR. Tackle anything from mountains to mud holes on a legendary Sportsman ATV. Get more done with a hard-working Ranger, or take on any task or trail in a versatile Polaris General. The best deals of the year are happening now. See Polaris.com or your Polaris dealer for rebates up to $3,500 and financing as low as 3.99% APR for 36 months during the Polaris Factory Authorized Clearance. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula and Highway 83 in Sealy. Kurtz Polaris is now showcasing all of the new 2020 Polaris off-road vehicles. To be the first to get a great deal on brand new state-of-the-art Polaris vehicles at Kurtz Polaris. Online at KurtzPolaris.com. Rebates valid in U.S. through 10/31/19 on new 2015 through 2019 vehicles. Financing offer valid on 2015s through 2020s, subject to credit approval. Offers vary by model. See dealer for details. Always wear a helmet. Never drink and ride.
Get ready to sing, dance, and laugh until your cheeks hurt with the interactive, unforgettable Dueling Pianos show, October 19th at the UC Ballroom. Dueling Pianos is a gala benefiting Montana children, and you can help by purchasing tickets at montanahope.org. Guests will enjoy a lively evening of dueling pianos, hors d'oeuvres, silent auctions, and raffles. All proceeds will benefit the Montana Hope Project and Catholic Social Services of Montana. Kids 10 and under are free. Learn more and purchase tickets at montanahope.org.
Are you interested in putting solar panels on your roof? Do you want the latest on Montana's renewable energy policies? The Montana Renewable Energy Association is a leading voice for renewable energy, education, and advocacy in Montana. From community-based clean energy events to advocating at the Montana legislature, they work to ensure Montana's future is powered by the sun, wind, and earth. Find out more about MREA and join as a member by visiting montanarenewables.org or calling 406-214-9405.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
For the second half of the prep football season underway, the weekly Treasure State Media Poll continues gaining clarity. In Class AA, defending state champion Village West remains number one after receiving 16 of 29 first-place votes. Ute off to its first 6-0 start since 1991. This is the other 13 first-place votes to come in at number 2. Missoula Sentinel is 5-1 at number 3, while Bose with an identical record was at 4. Helena Captain at number 5.
In Class A, Hamilton is back into the top spot after receiving 14 of 23 first-place votes ahead of Miles City, who is 5-0 and got 4 first-place nods. Dillon, number 3 after receiving 3 first-place votes, and Frenchtown, they did not get a first-place vote, but they're number 4.
In Class B, Fairfield is the number 1 team for the 6th straight week after receiving 21 first-place nods. Eureka is number 2, Manhattan at 3, and Red Lodge is at number 4. None of the top 4 have lost. Loyola, who is 4-2, comes in at number 5. They lost to number 1 and 2.
In a tournament trademarked by brutal Montana weather, Bozeman sophomore Justice Verge endured the elements to win his second straight Class AA state championship in golf. He led the Hawks to their second straight team title. Verge shot a 1-under 71 on the second day to follow up his 73 and earn his second straight state crown.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Aspen Sound.
Gus Tutel New Waters, 102.9 ESPN Radio, broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris Studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula, Highway 83 in Sealy, online at kurtzpolaris.com. Check us out on Twitter, at Gus Tutel, at Skyline Sports MT, and on Twitter and Instagram now. You can check out the station at 102.9 ESPN. Those are the handles for Twitter and Instagram. Follow us there on the social meds and have yourself a ball, okay? Let's go to the phones, and we welcome in Rob to the show. Rob, how are you?
Not bad. How you doing?
Doing well, Rob. Thank you very much. Now, here's the thing, Rob. Coulter's got 3 questions for you. He's going to ask them to you. If you get 2 of them right, you got yourself a basket of wings to the Desperado Sports Tavern. How's that sound? Is that all right for you?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Okay.
Some chicken wings would really hit the spot. Tell me like
You guys cut out there hard.
Wingy.
There we go. I just stopped talking. We were playing a little sound back for you. Okay, we were opening up the deal. Yeah, we'll try and keep this going with you. Now, if you get all 3 questions right, Rob, you're also going to get yourself a shirt to go along with this. So, you try and give everything away around here. Now, are you in Western Montana? Have you been over to the Desperado and had the wings there?
Oh, yeah. I live right across the street. I'm there all the time.
Look at this. Look at this.
So this guy gets to go over there and eat free wings pending his win.
That's right.
And he just gets to walk home.
Trivia of convenience right here. Now, here's the question. Have you heard many of Coulter's questions before? Because he asks these questions, and, I mean, sometimes it's like, well, if I wasn't, writing the 1906 Einstein papers on splitting the atom, I don't know if I'd be sitting here being able to get this,
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay, well, you got
Greatest
one
referendum
lifeline.
on Ryan is that he doesn't know the answer to any of these. As his job, he should know the answer to every single question I ask.
No. My job is to tolerate. That's all I do. Here we go. Question number 1. And, Rob, you do have me as a lifeline if you need it on any of these. So here we go. Here you go, Coulter.
All right, boys, we're doing baseball home runs.
Okay.
Rob, do you like baseball?
I do.
Great answer. Great start. Okay, number 1. With 307 home runs as a team, which Major League Baseball franchise set the record for home runs in a single season by a club this season?
This is the Yankees.
So close, yet so far away. The New York Yankees hit 306 home runs, one short of the Minnesota Twins, who hit 307.
Oh, my God.
You only missed it by 1. That's okay.
Hold on. Just keep going.
It's okay. You got 2 questions left and a lifeline. So, this year, 4 different teams broke. So let's start at the beginning. Last year, the New York Yankees broke a record that had stood for 21 years for home runs in a season. Last year, the Yankees did. This year, 4 more teams hit more than last year's Yankees teams.
Right.
So what I'm saying is the 4 teams this year and then last year's Yankees team all broke a record that stood for 21 years. The 5 biggest single seasons by a team have been in home runs have been in this last 2 seasons. Before that, though, the record had stood since 1997. Tell me the Major League Baseball franchise that in 1997, led by the Bone and the Kid, hit 267 home runs.
The baseball history's not great, Ryan. I'm gonna hope you got this one.
Yeah, well, the 97. I think that's the Seattle Mariners. You got Ken Griffey and the Bone there, but that was the 96. I think it was 96 that they set the all-time wins mark at 100.
No, that was 2000.
Oh, 2001, wasn't it? Okay, so it was before that,
yep.
But they're still hammering away. So I'm going to say the Seattle Mariners on this, though.
Let me go with that.
You are correct. The Seattle Mariners.
There you go. There's one down. Easy enough. All
okay,
right,
one down,
right.
No lifeline left for some wings. In 2009, this franchise saw 4 different players hit 30 home runs in a single season. Those players, Ryan Howard, Jason Worth, Raul Ibanez, and Chase Utley. Name that franchise that had 4 30-home run hitters in one season.
The Phillies.
The Philadelphia Phillies.
Whoa, look at that. Outstanding work, Rob. Hey, you didn't even need the first one, man. I mean, the shirt's all well and good, but you walk across the street, you're going to be into some wings. Rob, very well done there. Give your information to David in the back, and we'll get you set up with those wings, okay?
Right on. I appreciate it, guys.
You got it, man. Well done. Very good. Philly, he was right on that one.
This is a fun one. The 4 teammates with 30 home runs
Okay.
in a season.
Yeah.
It's happened, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. Non-coincidentally, 8 of those 10 times were between 1995 and 2004 when everybody was, having some fun with the cream and the clear.
Things were going well, yeah.
But some of these are really, some of these are fun teams to remember. It's amazing how good you can be in baseball and not actually win anything.
Yeah.
The 1995 and 1996 Colorado Rockies. Dante Bichette, Vinny Castilla, Andres Galarraga, and Larry Walker. They did it 2 years in a row.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Those teams were so sweet, and they barely made it in the playoffs, and then just lost in the first round. And the greater scheme of things, when you're looking through the history books, you're not going to hardly remember those teams at all, but they were so sweet. The 1998 Atlanta Braves, also with Andres Galarraga, who doesn't get enough credit, but Andrew Jones when he was an upstart player, Chipper Jones and Javi Lopez. That was a fun team. The Rockies in 99, and cheers to Coors Field for this. But again, Dante Bichette, Vinny Castilla, Todd Helton, Larry Walker did it. 2000, the Blue Jays, Tony Batista, Jose Cruz Jr., Carlos Delgado, and Brad Fulmer. The Angels in 2000 also, Garrett Anderson, Troy Gloss, Tim Salmon, Mo Vaughn. These are just some guys that it's so crazy how in a sport like baseball where your numbers are your legacy, how you can be so good, and if you're not Hall of Fame good, man, I haven't thought about Troy Glaus in a million years.
Yeah.
And he was so good.
Yeah, he was.
Tim Salmon? How good was Tim Salmon?
Let me ask you this, because you spent a lot of time in baseball, and I've never understood this, but baseball people who I trust I've heard them say things along these lines. It's going to be hard ever for the Colorado Rockies to win a World Series because of the stadium that they play in, where they play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that.
Why?
I understand that you build a roster often for the park that you play in, and
right.
you try and, if you got a short porch to left field, you try and get a power hitting right-hander and all that kind of stuff. It's very, the basics of it and everything. So I don't know exactly what sort of team you try to put together when you're playing at 5,000 feet and balls are in theory flying out of here, and pitchers are always going to have a higher ERA than probably what they deserve to have because of the place that they pitch and all that. But it's the same for everybody while you're playing the game. And then when you go to the next park, it's the same for everybody at that park. And in the playoffs, you go to the opponent's, field, and they come to your field. So it's even in that respect. And I don't understand why playing in Coors Field or some other fields, Safeco is another one where it's notoriously difficult to hit home runs. It's a big outfield. It's at sea level, and they've always struggled to have run support. And yet, it should be equitable, it would seem to me. It's just as hard for the Giants to hit a home run in Coors Field as it is for the Mariners to hit a home run in Coors Field. So what is it about the way a field's designed and or the way then you choose to construct a roster that prohibits, it seems, or makes it much more difficult some teams, some organizations from having a shot at a title?
Because, Mike Hampton and Darryl Kyle are the two greatest examples of why the Rockies have always struggled. Because you go out and you spend big money on all-star pitchers like Mike Hampton and Darryl Kyle, and they get to Colorado and they can't do it anymore because they have no idea how to pitch there, and they're getting shelled. Mike Hampton was a 3-time all-star before he signed with the Rockies. He had an ERA over 6 2 years in a row, and he forgot how to throw a strike. And then all of a sudden he's in the minor leagues. This guy was in the All-Star game to the minor leagues in the span of 3 years.
And that's because he played at Colorado.
Because his confidence was shot. Because you can't get away with that pitch on the outside corner. Because this guy, you want that hitter to hit a fly ball to right field when you throw that pitch. And it goes over the fence in Colorado. Darryl Kyle, he's a curveball pitcher. He couldn't throw the curveball with the same snap because the altitude doesn't allow the ball to spin like it should.
Okay, so find a guy who does know how to pitch in the altitude. And then when other pitchers come to pitch in the altitude, your fly balls at their park are going out.
Totally. Conventional wisdom would say that's exactly true. But I think that also when you're in Coors Field, if you want your fans to continue to buy into what you've always been about and you want to maximize your advantages, you're going to invest a lot of your money in sluggers.
Sure.
The Rockies have had the guys that the Rockies have had, everybody says, Vinny Castilla and Dante Bichette and Andres Galarraga and those guys, Larry Walker, they all benefit from Coors Field. They did. But also, those guys are mashing no matter where they play.
Right.
They're hitting 35 home runs instead of 45 home runs. They play somewhere else. They're still hitting bombs.
Yeah.
So, but I think you invest in that, and that's what Colorado's always done. I mean, they're such a young franchise still, right? I mean, they've only been around for 25, 26, 27 years.
Did they win one? No.
No, they went to one, the Rocktober, where they won 20 in a row and went all the way to the World Series, but then fell short. But I think it's a distinct thing, man. I mean, I think that so much of baseball is mental, and that just gets into your head too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many times – it's so funny that we just talked about the Mariners having the all-time home run record for 21 years. That's when they played in the Kingdome. You hit mad bombs in the Kingdome. Since they moved to Safeco Field, they played more 2-1 games than anybody in baseball. But it's the identity of their franchise now, right? I mean, how many one-run games did the Mariners lose? For 15 years.
All of them.
All of them. That's what
Yes.
I'm saying, but it just becomes entrenched in your mind, right? It's just like at the old Yankee Stadium with the short porch. Roger Maris, Mickey Mantle, Reggie Jackson, the list goes on and on and on and on. They always had sluggers that could mash over that fence. But when it infiltrates the mindset of your entire franchise.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hard part to move on from. I mean, how many franchises without moving parks have been able to redefine their identity? So many of these franchises in the new modern ballparks have been exactly what their ballpark wants them to be, basically, since they opened.
Well, I mean, when you're going to put together a new ballpark, you're obviously going to do it with all of that in mind. Like, it's not just about, what's the cost per square foot of this tract of land? Oh, yeah, let's build a park here. It absolutely goes into the type of baseball that you think that you want to play is the best to play. But the difference is it's not really you can't evolve it. Like, once you've built your stadium, there it is.
Right.
It's sitting there, and you got the dimensions and the distances to the corners and the outline of the wall and all of that, and that's just what it's going to be. So once you've set that and established that, that's kind of what you have to go after and the mark you got to hit. It's Tutel Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. The Montana basketball teams are going to be enjoying a facilities upgrade. We'll take you through that. And also, how about this? Wayne Tinkle, an extension through the year 2023 at Oregon State. So all of that coming up right after this. Hey, look up. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's satellite internet. That's right. High-speed internet delivered from a satellite right to where you live. When you're beyond the reach of cable and fiber internet, look up. Eagle Satellite is our community's authorized HughesNet retailer. With HughesNet, you'll have fast speeds, unlimited data, and no hard data limits, as well as built-in Wi-Fi. Eagle Satellite has helped our community get online for 39 years, and this year they want to help you get connected too. For a limited time, you can get free standard installation when you order HughesNet. Call Eagle Satellite, 406-728-9999, and see for yourself why HughesNet is America's #1 choice for satellite internet. That's Eagle Satellite, 406-728-9999. Eagle Satellite and HughesNet, proudly connecting our community.
No matter how far you may go, there's always one just down the road. Town Pump, pump it up, pump it up.
There's nothing that goes better together than a Johnsonville Big Dog and an ice-cold beer. Right now in the Town Pump Deli, Johnsonville Big Dogs are only $1.79, and Keystone 15 packs $8.88. Town Pump, right down the road.
Town Pump, right down the road. Pump it up, oh yeah.
The big skies are open. Go wild with Opportunity Reward Checking. Go ahead, jump, dance, shout. Opportunity Reward Checking will make you do that. Go wild when you get your 1% cash back on qualified debit card purchases. It all starts with an Opportunity Reward Checking account from Opportunity Bank. Visit a branch today to get started. Then go wild and spend your 1% cash back however you want. Go wild with Reward Checking from Opportunity Bank. Some restrictions may apply. Member FDIC.
Hey everybody, here with my good friend Josh from the Advocates Injury Law Firm. Josh, if I've been in an accident, how much is it going to cost me to hire you?
Well, we take cases on a contingency fee. And what that means for you is that if you're hurt in an accident, we only get paid if you make a recovery. You'll never owe us anything out of pocket.
What about the call for a consultation?
That's not a problem. We don't charge anything for an initial consultation, so you have absolutely nothing to risk by calling us.
If you're injured in a car accident, call the Advocates, 640-4444, or online at montanaadvocates.com.
The Dog and Bicycle Cafe in Old Sawmill District is turning 3, and they're celebrating by giving back to Missoula. October 10th from 6 to 8 p.m., Dog and Bicycle will host a silent art auction and raffle to benefit Free Cycles, the awesome community bike shop that keeps Missoula rolling year-round. Stop by, bid on art and gift baskets donated by local artists and businesses, and enjoy music, beverages, and snacks. The Dog and Bicycle 3rd birthday celebration is all about giving back to Missoula, Thursday the 10th from 6 to 8 at Dog and Bicycle Cafe on Wyoming.
Hi, this is Michael Legg, Artistic Director at Montana Repertory Theater. If you loved our season opener, Go Please Go, or even if you missed it but still want to see the rest of the season, you're in luck. Season ticket packages are still on sale for just $70. That's $70 for 3 more innovative and exciting shows, including our production of War of the Worlds in January. Go to montanarep.com to get your tickets today.
Get ready to sing, dance, and laugh until your cheeks hurt with the interactive, unforgettable Dueling Pianos show, October 19th at the UC Ballroom. Dueling Pianos is a gala benefiting Montana children, and you can help by purchasing tickets at montanahope.org. Guests will enjoy a lively evening of dueling pianos, hors d'oeuvres, silent auctions, and raffles. All proceeds will benefit the Montana Hope Project and Catholic Social Services of Montana. Kids 10 and under are free. Learn more and purchase tickets at montanahope.org.
Tutel and Nuanez. Listen to the podcast on the TuneIn Radio app or on iTunes, 1029ESPN.com.
Carroll College Women's Soccer has tweeted, excited to be home this weekend. Thanks, facilities, for all you do on campus. And a picture of a completely snow-covered soccer field, which is being plowed today. It did drop off the map a little bit, didn't it, today? Got a little chill.
I mean, according to the story in the Missoulian this morning about the AA state golf tournament, the grounds crew had to clear off the green for Justice Verge to make his tournament-winning putt to claim the Class AA state championship. There was a visible amount of snow on the green in the middle of a round where you'd think that they would be maintaining it the whole time. So in between just that hole that he's playing, there's that much snow.
I would say this, the PGA, they play in extreme heat. They play in humidity. They will play in rain. They will go places there's massive wind. And they will also play in some very nice conditions. I have yet to have ever seen a situation in which a professional golfer was ever playing in even so much as one snowflake of snow.
This is what my brother
Get over it. Go play in the north somewhere. Wear real gloves, not golf gloves, and go play some golf. Let's see how you do then. Tough guys.
This is what my brother always says. He always says these guys are elite. They're unbelievable. But go play where you got to wear 2 coats, so you can't even swing. You're wearing a stocking cap. You got somebody to find your ball on the PGA Tour. You can't find your ball for the life of you because there's so many leaves and snowflakes.
Now, I will say, there's been a couple of Open Championship rounds where I would play any day in the snow compared to that.
Oh, yeah, when you're breaking your wrist because the rough is so thick, that's not ideal.
And it's blowing 70,000 tons of rain due horizontal into your face.
True.
I mean, no. I'm not into that either. It's only 45 degrees, so that's real. It's Tutel and Nuanez, 1029 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. Hi. Good to see you. We are broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula. Online at kurtzpolaris.com. Highway 83 in Sealy. Coulter, quick update here. Wayne Tinkle, former University of Montana assistant basketball coach, former University of Montana head men's basketball coach, current Oregon State head men's basketball coach, has an extension that's going to run him through the year 2022, 2023, and gives him a couple extra years on the 6-year deal that he signed in 2014. He will earn $2 million this year, 2.1 next, and 2.2 in the next couple of years. He has a buyout clause in there, and if he's still at Oregon, certainly in building that program. Wayne Tinkle, man, he's a very good basketball coach, a great recruiter, and all that. And he seems to me to be the type of guy that is built for building. You know, when you go to a program that has some potential, you know, you got a UCLA, Arizona, Utah even in the Pac-12, you go, okay, well, yeah. But Wayne Tinkle, with all of his enthusiasm and his excitement and his buoyancy and his work ethic, he goes in there and, you know, I think it's not just about the players, man. It's about the culture, you know. And you're trying to make this thing into something that's appealing, not just for fans to come to, but for players to come to, and to get a fan base really excited about it. And you know, it's hard work, and you got to have the right attitude, the right type, mental, emotional type to do it. And Wayne Tinkle has that. And you know, I wouldn't sit here and say, well, Oregon State's rolling right now, but they are so much better off than what they were when he arrived, and congratulations to him for you know, earning this extension. That's great.
It definitely takes gauging it based on what the program was when he got there,
right?
Because there was times last year where there was whispers and he was sort of starting to feel the heat a little bit, but then they actually kind of turned around. It's sort of, honestly, Oregon State has gotten hindered by the decline in national reputation of the Pac-12 more than any other school in the Pac-12. Because Oregon State's already considered the little sister in the Pac-12 compared to the UCLAs and Arizonas and Oregons and Washingtons of the world, certainly. But last year, 18 wins, which was their second most under Coach Tinkle, 10 conference wins, which was their most. They made the tournament with a 9-9 conference record in 15-16. Because 6 teams from the Pac-12 made the tournament. Now that how many teams from the Pac-12 made the tournament last year? 2. Oregon, who won the Pac-12 tournament, and then
Arizona State, I think, went.
Washington went last year as well.
Okay, so I think Arizona State ended up in the first 4, and I'm not so sure they didn't get bounced in that.
So regardless, it was a 6-bid league 4 years ago, and it's a 3 or 2-bid league last year. That decline kills Oregon State. Because if you're finishing 3rd in the Pac-12 at Oregon State, that's a hell of a job. I mean, you're doing a great job if you're finishing 3rd in that league at Oregon State with the resources you have compared to your competition.
Right.
So the rest of the league needs to be better. I also think this contract, you know, it's indicative of the fact that Trace Tinkle is going to be a senior, so they need it. You know, but also the fact that, I mean, this is pretty big money for Oregon State. You're talking about $2 million, $2.1 million, $2.2 million, and a $750,000 buyout. That's significant for Oregon State.
Yeah.
The money that they have. So it seems as if they're invested in Wayne Tinkle.
Very good. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting, and it's you know, it's a good thing. And when you're coming up on the last you know, couple of years of a contract, you know, having that extension and that confidence, that support from the university is really important. Colter, the University of Montana basketball program is receiving a significant upgrade to its facilities, and this is going to be kind of on the back end. It won't really be in view for, you know, for the public and so forth, but a major basketball facilities upgrade to renovate the locker room and also expand the space sort of where the football locker rooms used to be. Currently, there's about 1,200 square feet there. This new project is going to expand that to 2,900 square feet, nearly tripling the size. And if you go on Twitter, you can see the sort of the mock-up of it and what it's going to look like. I will, if I'm allowed to go in there, look forward to just dominating anybody that wants to do the ping pong up there in the top left corner. That's where I'll be hanging out at the ping pong table. But it's going to be, you know, locker rooms, meeting space. There's a coach's locker room as well as a lounge, a player lounge in there. So this is all about the teams, the players for you know, the Grizz and Lady Grizz basketball teams. Funding for the project, which is about $2 million, so a significant cost, is going to be coming entirely from private donation. So, you know, that's Also, of course, worth noting for this, Travis DeCuire, the head men's basketball coach, said, quote, "Our Grizz family is growing, and we are grateful for their support. The lifestyle of a student-athlete is very important, and for us to continue elevating that is allowing us to compete at the highest level. This project is not just about recruiting, but the success of all our student-athletes, as opposed to going home between classes, workouts, treatment, and study hall. This new area will be a one-stop shop. There's more opportunity to stay in the building and spend more time together as a team, which is huge for the success of the student-athlete."
I think you're already seeing the benefits of the Champions Center to all sports, but particularly football. And I expect this to have a similar impact on basketball.
Yeah.
You noticed the impact the Champions Center had on the football team, on their bodies this last year. They straight up just looked better. They looked physically more in shape when they reported for fall camp. It's just a better facility.
Is it the Champions Center or is it the regiment?
Well, both, certainly. But when every single dude looks better,
yeah,
you know that it's working. And you're right. There's a lot of factors. Matt Nicholson's a factor. Nutrition is a factor. The Champions Center is a factor. The maniacal head coach who can power clean more than everybody on the team is a factor. But this is a long time coming. This will have an impact not just on athletics at the University of Montana, though. There's been so much talk. I mean, Dahlberg Arena is arguably the great basketball facility in the state of Montana, right? But the state basketball tournaments are hardly ever hosted in Missoula. And the excuse that I've always heard is that they don't have the space to host a big tournament for locker room stuff. Well, now they're adding locker rooms, so now presumably they will.
Okay.
And so that could have an impact on Missoula in a lot of different ways, because if we're hosting tournaments now, it becomes more of a destination. Now you can bid for not just high school state tournaments, but AAU tournaments. I mean, all that stuff. When you're talking about small communities like we live in Montana, even just hosting a 32-team AAU tournament, that brings a ton of revenue to town.
For sure. No doubt.
So it's good. It's good for everybody involved that they got this done, and I think Travis DeCuire and his program should be proud of the progress they're making.
The one thing I don't see in this is a time frame on when this is going to get done, but obviously this is going to be an extended project. It's going to take quite a while to get this finished, but the announcement that it's there and the mock-ups and everything ready to go. Hour number 1. In the books. If you missed anything in hour number 1, you can listen on the podcast. Podcast available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. The Two Tell and the Nuanez podcast brought to us by Wingate by Wyndham Hotel. Boys and girls, let's do another Wing It Wednesday, shall we? We got Brian Salonen coming up here in about 15 minutes, so let's give away some wings right now. 329-1899, 329-1899. I got questions for you. Coulter's got answers. You got answers. 329-1899. Wing It Wednesday next.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Tires. You know, we've been helping keep folks safe on the road around here since 1952. That's why you can save up to $152 on a set of 4 select light truck and SUV tires during our fall tire sale. So swing by or book an appointment at leschwab.com. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952. Limited time offer while supplies last. Discount depends on tire size and type. Cannot be combined with other offers. Details at leschwab.com.
On Russell, across from the fairgrounds.
We've combined quality ingredients with home-style recipes to create the Montana Club's fall comfort food menu. Savor our tender boneless beef short rib or caramelized brandy apple pork shank. Dig into our classic savory chicken pot pie or fall for our zesty skillet lasagna. Top things off with our creamy pumpkin skillet a la mode. Scratch-made comfort food that's as real as it gets. Served 11:30 to close at the Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Hey everybody, Ryan Tutel, and I'm here with Josh of the Advocates Injury Law Firm. Josh, there's a lot of lawyers in this area. What makes you different?
At the Advocates, we primarily focus on injury cases. That gives us the experience and the knowledge to correctly evaluate your case and work with insurance companies and other attorneys so you get exactly what you deserve to make you whole again. We take really good care of our clients, and we're going to fight for every single dollar you deserve.
Call 640-4444 or online at montanaadvocates.com. There are a lot of lawyers. You deserve an advocate. In Western Montana, we know shopping local matters, and you may think you'd pay more for the quality and customer service that comes with it, but not at Selway Armory. Selway Armory is locally owned with knowledgeable specialists that can answer your questions. In addition to the expertise, though, Selway Armory also has a bigger selection and lower prices than the box stores. When you're in the market for firearms and accessories, save money with the experts at Selway Armory. Selway Armory, 2825 Stockyard Road, Unit E6, and online at selwayarmory.com.
Fall is here, and with Chris Mornings, there is no better way to start your day with a delicious drink from Florence Coffee. With flavors like indulgent white chocolate, decadent Madagascar vanilla, and rich dark chocolate, Flowco is sure to start your day off right wherever you're heading. We look forward to serving you and visit FlorenceCoffeeCo.com.
The best flavor under the big sky. Florence Coffee Company.
If you are hurt or disabled, you may be entitled to benefits from an insurance company or Social Security. I'm Chris Helmer, an attorney at Clark Fork Law Offices. Our Missoula firm specializes in worker compensation, personal injury, and Social Security disability. There are many unknowns when injured or disabled. The other side is fighting hard. You should too. Call Clark Fork Law at 728-0168 for a free consultation or visit clarkforklaw.com. Again, 728-0168.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana. KKVU HD3 Stevensville and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Howdy. Ryan Tutel, Colter Nuanez. Here's some sports news for you. With the second half of the prep football season underway, the weekly Treasure State media poll continues to gain clarity. In Class AA, defending state champion Billings West remains number one after receiving 16 of the 29 first-place votes. Butte, they're not far behind. They're off to a 6-0 start, their first since 1991. They received the other 13 first-place votes, so just 3 votes apart from those two at the top 2 spots. Missoula Sentinel is 5-1 at number 3, while Bozeman, also 5-1, is at number 4. Helena Capital rounds out the top 5.
Tutel Nuanez had Butte at number 1. Tutel Nuanez also had Hamilton, number 1 in Class A. They're back in the top spot after receiving 14 of 23 first-place votes ahead of Miles City, who is actually the only undefeated team in the top 5 in Class A. They're number 2. They got 4 first-place votes. Dillon received 3 first-place votes and comes in at number 3. Frenchtown, no first-place votes this week, but they're still number 4. Laurel got 3 first-place votes. They're number 5.
In Class B, Fairfield is the number 1 team for the 6th straight week after receiving 21 first-place nods. Eureka, number 2. Manhattan at number 3. And Red Lodge is there at number 4. None of the top 4 teams have lost, a.k.a. they're all undefeated. The only one that has lost a game in the top 5, Loyola, who's 4-2 after losses to number 1 and 2.
And finally, Justice Verge, back-to-back Class AA state golf titles, Bozeman High, back-to-back team titles.
ESPN Sports Center is presented by Clark Fork Law.
SWX Montana Television, hour number 2. Coming at you. Great to be with you here on a Wednesday afternoon. Hope you're having a great day. We're broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway and Missoula Highway 83 in Sealy, online at kurtzpolaris.com. If you would like to give us a call, 329-1899 is the phone number. All guests join us via the Rankage Brothers RV phone line. And if you want to listen live, no matter where you are, to this show or to the station in general, 1029ESPN.com. The stream is available all the time on the Listen Live tab, and it's there thanks to Opportunity Bank, your local bank, your opportunity. It's time for a Wing It Wednesday. Get some wings to the Desperado Sports Tavern, away to some a very deserving participant. This time it's Mike. Mike, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm very well, Ryan. How are you?
I'm also very well myself. Thanks for asking. That is very good of you. Here we go. This is the deal. We got 3 questions for you. If you get 2 of them right, you got yourself a basket of wings to the Desperado Sports Tavern just that easily. If you happen to go 3 for 3, we are also going to give you a shirt to go along with it. If you need help on any of these, I am your lifeline, okay?
No, I am.
Oh, right. They're my questions, so you're the lifeline. Coulter's the lifeline, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Boy, some chicken wings would really hit the spot.
What do we got?
Likey. Tell me what wingy.
All right, Mike. Now here's my question. Now, are you familiar with the wings? Have you done the wings to the Desperado yet?
I've done the wings to the Desperado probably no less than a couple dozen times.
Okay, that's good. And no less than a couple dozen wings at any setting. So it's you square the number and you're out there to like 850,000 wings if I've done the math well.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. So Mike, here's what we're doing today. It's baseball. The playoffs are in process right now. In fact, the St. Louis Cardinals, which I will ask you about, are hammering the Atlanta Braves. As we speak. But here's the question for you. There are 4 divisional series, as there are every single year here in 2019. How many of those series have gone to a decisive Game 5?
So 4 series, 3 of them are going to Game 5.
Mike! Outstanding work. 3 indeed is the exact right number. I'm not going to give you more than that other than congratulations, because the next question is a follow-up to that one. Which of these series did not? That is to say, which 2 teams played in a series that did not go the distance?
It's a team, unfortunately, they keep making the playoffs, and they keep running into the New York Yankees and getting stomped. The Minnesota Twins can't even get a win.
Couldn't get a W. Now, are you a big Twins fan? Are you a Twin Cities guy?
No, unfortunately, I'm a Billings, Montanan, so I'm a Seattle Mariners fan and a 49ers fan and a Bulls fan.
Well, 1 out of 3 is doing pretty well. The Niners looking hot right now.
The Niners are looking good.
Yeah, they are.
The Bulls will be back. You should declare.
The Bulls, we'll see. Nick Bosa's got the Niners looking good.
Oh,
yeah. You got to cleanse your soul, though, and get a new baseball team.
Oh, my God. It's the worst.
I'm telling you, man. It's just, self-fulfilling prophecies of tragedy.
Stick with them, because it will be so great when it all comes around.
It's never happening.
Stop. You're too young.
Ryan, I just moved home from Tacoma, and the people out there don't even believe in the Mariners, man. It's tough. It's tough. They didn't even know they were in first place for a month last year.
Well, at least they did it. They did it swiftly this year. Yeah, like they were straight out of it by July 1. Usually, you're like, man, they're in it. They're in it. August 15th rolls around, implosion.
Isn't this right? They were 13-2 to start.
13-1 to start.
Well, they're 13-1, 13. Then they were 13-2. But it took them 15 games to lose their first 2 games, or to win their first 13, however you want to say. Yep. To win their next 13 games, it was like 47 losses to get the next 13 wins. And
it was awfully aggressive.
It was awfully aggressive. Now I'm going to do this just because this is my place here. Tacoma's my second home. Where in Tacoma?
I love it.
Where in Tacoma were you?
I was on the north end. Worked in the Proctor district. If you're familiar with Proctor.
Oh man, one of the best breakfasts you can get is at the old restaurant on Proctor Street. I don't even remember now the name of the place, but I'm in there all the love Proctor. Yeah, it is Naps.
Naps.
Yeah, because I get the best burger in the world at the Naps in Hamilton, and you get the best breakfast in the world at the Naps in Proctor. So I'm all over it.
That's right. That's right.
Boys and girls, if you don't believe the hype, take a timeout, go to a dive bar late night in Tacoma, and if you survive that, go to Naps in the morning. It is a great 24-hour cycle, okay? That's what I got for you. Okay, listen, Mike, you're already into the wings. You already got that knocked out. Let's go for question number 3 here, okay? This is the most current affairs question I've ever asked in terms of proximity to time. How many runs did the St. Louis Cardinals score today in the first inning of their Game 5 at Atlanta?
Oh, man. You know, my second favorite team's the Braves, so I decided to check the score earlier today, and I wish I wouldn't have because Bleacher Report instantly hit me with the Cardinals set a MLB record, or tied it. And so I felt real gross opening the article to see they scored 10 runs in the first inning.
He didn't even use his lifeline, didn't need it. Out of the park. That's the metaphor we'll use on this baseball Wing It Wednesday. 3 for 3, 10 runs. It's now, by the way, 13-1, I believe. 13-1. Don't worry, man. The Braves scored a point. Bad news is it's the the Braves got the bases loaded. Let's see what happens here. Bases loaded for the Braves. We'll see how it goes. I don't think it's going to go well. Mike, excellently done by you. Very, very well done. Give your information to David there. We will get you wings and a shirt from the Desperado Sports Tavern, all right?
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
You got it. That's how you do it right there. Naps, man. I'm telling you, Coulter, we're going to go to Tacoma. We're going to do it. It's a glorious place.
I would love to go there with you.
Yes.
Because I have not had any good Seattle experiences.
Oh, my. First of all, you can't wear that. Okay, you look far too nice to be going and trafficking around in Tacoma, Washington. I'm doing much better with the dark blue and black, okay? We can't go. We got to go get some tattoos. We got to go to Tacoma, Washington and have ourselves a weekend.
Ryan and his secret past life of being tatted.
Well, not secret. Is it?
I don't think anybody on the show would figure you and your dad jokes would be covered in tattoos. He is.
I mean, covered's maybe a little strong. I ran out of money somewhere along the line when I started having kids. It's sort of kind of what happened. Okay, very well done. That was fun. 13-1 the score. By the way, did you know this? I heard this today. I think there have been 27. No, 27. Let's get it right. 27 Game 5s in the history of the ALDS. This has been a 5-game series.
And there's 3 this year.
There's 3 this year, but 27 in total.
Yeah.
The home team is 11-18.
Whoa.
So pressure.
So if you push it to 5,
the
you
pressure
got a
when
chance.
you come back and you're supposed to be winning the thing and it's a one-game deal. The Braves not bucking that trend right now. We'll take a break. We'll come back. It's our ESPN Roundtable. Brian Salonen, good friend of the show, good friend of ours, former Grizz football player, former Dallas Cowboy, really fun guy to talk to. It's going to be a wacky conversation, this one with Brian Salonen. We'll have it, our Roundtable, right after this.
Garden City Paint and Glass in Missoula is like your paint doctor. They take the pain out of painting. Don't trust your home to anything less than professional PPG paints from Garden City Paint and Glass. Go to visualizecolors.com. Scan in your room photo to see what color combinations will look best before painting. That's visualizecolors.com. Featuring professional PPG paints. Garden City Paint and Glass in Missoula, across from the Southside McDonald's at 3217 Brooks.
Alpine Touch has been part of the fabric of Montana for more than 60 years. Decades ago, Russell Street started selling his Touch of Magic in whitefish. Years later, Alpine Touch's all-purpose seasoning remains a favorite. It's tailgating season, and there's no better way to spice up your grill before a Grizz game than with Alpine Touch. Go to alpinetouch.com now and use the checkout code ESPN10 for a 10% discount on your order. Alpine Touch is here to keep your mouth watering all football season. Alpine Touch, Montana's special spice.
No matter how far you may go, there's always one just down the road. Town Pump, pump it up, pump it up.
Quench your thirst at Town Pump. Pepsi and Mountain Dew 1 liters are buy 2, get 1 free. Plus Aquafina 1 liter water 2 for $2.50. Whether you're hungry, thirsty, or need a quick pick-me-up, you can find what you're looking for at your Town Pump, right down the road.
Town Pump, right down the road. Pump it up, oh yeah.
This is Mike Nugent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Berkshire Hathaway provides Western Montana with full-time real estate professionals for you whenever you need us. Our reputation as the state's most knowledgeable and available real estate group has helped build unmatched trust in the Garden City and statewide. If you have been thinking of making a real estate move in the short or long term, give me a call. No pressure, no expectations. Just professional opinions and service at whatever pace you are comfortable with. Give me, Mike Nugent, a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
There's only one way to really enjoy fall sports, and that's on a full stomach. So whether you're watching the NCAA, MLB, NHL, NFL, NBA, whatever the letters, the Desperado has an A-plus menu to fill your belly while you're cheering on your team. Head to the Desperado for a juicy bacon burger, a steaming plate of cheesy nachos, ice-cold beer, and hands down, the best hot wings in town. If it's a steak you're looking for, well, they've got that too. Whether the game ends in a win or a loss, get your winner Despo dinner at the Desperado Sports Tavern on South Russell, across from the Y.
Are you interested in putting solar panels on your roof? Do you want the latest on Montana's renewable energy policies? The Montana Renewable Energy Association is a leading voice for renewable energy education and advocacy in Montana. From community-based clean energy events to advocating at the Montana legislature, they work to ensure Montana's future is powered by the sun, wind, and earth. Find out more about MREA and join as a member by visiting montanarenewables.org or calling 406-214-9405.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon. Ryan Tutel, Colton Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Sports Center. With the second half of the prep football season underway, the weekly Treasure State media poll continues gaining clarity. The Class AA defending state champion Billings West remained at number 1 after receiving 16 of the 29 first-place votes. Butte, off to their first 6-0 start since 1991, received the other 13 first-place votes to come in at number 2. Missoula Sentinel is 5-1, as is Bozeman. Sentinel's 3, Bozeman is 4, and at number 5 is Helena Capital.
In Class A, Hamilton back into the top spot after receiving 14 of 23 first-place votes, ahead of Miles City, who's actually the only undefeated team in the poll at 5-0. Cowboys got 5 first-place nods. Dillon is number 3. They received 3 first-place votes. Frenchtown, number 4, despite not receiving any first-place votes. Laurel got 3 first-place votes. They're number 5.
How about that? In Class B, Fairfield is the number 1 team for the 6th straight week after receiving all 21 first-place nods. Eureka is number 2. Manhattan at number 3. And Red Lodge at number 4. They are all undefeated. Loyola is 4-2. They're at number 5. I said they lost to number 1 and number 2. They've lost to number 1 and number 3.
Yes, right. In a tournament trademarked by brutal Montana weather, Bozeman sophomore Justin Verge endured the elements to win his second straight Class AA state golf championship. He led the Hawks to their second straight team title in the process.
Time, as we do now every Wednesday, for the ESPN Roundtable. This week, subject to the ESPN Roundtable, former Great Falls High football player, former Montana Grizz football player, former Dallas Cowboy football player, Brian Salonen. Brian Salonen, when he finished his career at the University of Montana, led the University of Montana in career receptions with 151, the most ever. So tremendously prolific as a pass catcher from the tight end spot. Then goes and was drafted in the 10th round of the Dallas Cowboys. We've talked to Brian a number of times over the years on this show and a lot off of this show. He's now an assistant coach at Hellgate as they prepare for their crosstown city championship game with the Sentinel Spartans on Friday. But he's got a story that I think is so well said, and only he could say it because of the history he has, a football life, as it were, for Brian Salonen about coaching the Hellgate Knights in last year and this year and all that. So please enjoy, presented by Paradise Falls, this week's ESPN Roundtable.
Well, happy to welcome into the ESPN Roundtable former University of Montana standout and former Dallas Cowboy as well, Brian Salonen. Brian, how are you?
Well, I'm doing wonderful. I wish a nice fall would continue, but I guess we don't have the snow that Browning and Great Falls and Butte have, so I'm in good shape.
You're right. Tropical Missoula, as always,
exactly.
in October, right?
For the kid at the Class AA golf tournament yesterday, for him to make the tournament-winning putt, they had to have a full grounds crew come on and clear off the greens. It was in Great Falls. There was like 2 inches of snow by the time he got to the final green, so they had to sweep the whole thing off just so he could tap in his par putt to win it. Only in Montana.
No kidding. Well, my nephew, Will Salonen, was golfing in that, and so my brother Brad gave me the updates, and then another good buddy of mine, his son was playing, and so I got videos of the snow flying and the wind blowing, and it wasn't pretty, that's for sure. It's too bad they didn't move that to Missoula. That would have been a nice thing for the golfers and our community.
Well, they schedule these things out, and they're excited about them, so they try and keep it where they are. But maybe next year, again, move to the lower elevations. Well, Brian, this is one thing that's so fun, man, because you are Montana through and through. I mean, to go to Great Falls High School, University of Montana. You play in the league, and then you come back here, you work here, and like you said, I mean, you got connections to the AA golf tournament. You're coaching Hellgate High School. I know you got kids playing sports at Hellgate, and so you are fully invested. But when you look around at Montana just in general, and now as a second generation comes up behind you, what do you think about sports in Montana? What makes it unique from maybe anywhere else that you might be?
Well, first of all, it's about the fourth generation behind me since I'm so old. So we better clarify that. But it's kind of hard to explain. I mean, I've heard Grizzly coaches throughout a long, long time just saying, if you can get Montana athletes on the roster, it's just a little different. And I don't know if you can put a finger on that or figure it out, but it just seems to me that a lot of the kids, they might not have a whole bunch, but they've got athletics and they work really hard and they're committed and they just have a toughness to them that I don't know. I don't know how you explain it, but it's kind of that Montana tough thing that you just go out and especially on the football field, you try to smash them as hard as you can, and there's just something. I mean, it happened to me in Great Falls that you grew up being a Bison, and my dad was an official, and I got to be a ball boy when the Carlsons, not only Gene coached there, but his boys played there, and they were like your heroes, You saw their silver helmets run out, and I don't know, one of them throws a chin strap to you, and you think, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. And it just, at least in Great Falls, you kind of, I know the same thing certainly happens in Butte, that you just grow up wanting to play football and wanting to do well. And fortunately for me, it got to stay healthy, and it certainly worked out.
Well, Brian, I want to get into all your time with the Grizzlies as well as the Dallas Cowboys, but before we go to the past, let's talk about the present. I know you've been helping out with Hellgate High School football for the last several years. I know you got a son playing on the Knights team, and it's been a fascinating and wonderful story to watch because Hellgate hit a rock bottom where they've lost dozens of games in a row, and then they basically lost their varsity program for a year. But under Mick Morris, you guys have helped bring this thing back. And last year, I know, like Raleigh Wooster told us, one of the greatest moments of his life was having a breakthrough and getting a win last year, let alone 2 in a row. And then this year, Hellgate starts 3-0 for the first time since 1987. So just being a part of that and watching it and watching those kids work and overcome and persevere, what's that been like?
Well, should write a book on it one day because
for real.
It's even more interesting than I could have ever thought or dreamed of. But for me, I got to, for some reason in youth football, I was assigned a team that the kids were going to go to Hellgate, and in 7th grade we had some success, and in 8th grade we had success, and as freshmen we had success, and I just, gosh darn it, for 8 years would sit in the stands and watch Hellgate football, and I know certainly the numbers aren't great, but to see them suffer like they did, and not only lose, but 60 by 60 and 50 and scores that you just go, oh gosh, it's just sad. And with my son a part of it, and these kids that I was fortunate enough to coach in youth football, I just thought, you know what, if they'll take me, I would love to see if I could help out in any way and maybe bring a little energy to the program and see if we could turn it around. And Coach Morris has been, he's a Butte kid, and he everyone on the staff is a lot younger than I am, but it has been a pretty neat story. And I'll echo what Raleigh said. I've played a lot of football and been a part of a lot of big games, but that first win against CMR and maybe being a Bison, being able to get CMR last year was one of the greatest wins I've ever been a part of, including wins over Bobcats or Cowboy wins over the Redskins or the Giants or playoff opportunities. But that was after that, it was kind of like, you know what, you can take me now. I'm as high as I could be, and again, that's the thrill of athletics that can only be reached in my case on the football field, and it's just such a big part of my life, and I'm so thankful that when Jeff Hayes was the AD, that he hired Mick, that Mick was kind enough to allow me to be a part of it, and it has been a blast.
You know, that's such an awesome sort of recollection and story, and to put that in perspective is only somebody who's been around the game for as long as played as much as you have could put it into that sort of context for us. But also, this weekend, you're playing for a city championship. The Hellgate Knights and Sentinel Spartans both 1-0 against Big Sky. So this is for all the Missoula marbles, as it were. I know you got a lot of prep going into this one, but how exciting is it just to be even in a game that has, a city championship attached to it?
Well, yeah, I don't know the last time that Hellgate was even in a position to achieve something like that, but certainly it's above exciting, and if these kids could accomplish something like that Friday night in Sentinel is good, and they're athletic. We'll certainly have our hands full, but I'll tell you what, we've got our kids that are out there. Again, our numbers aren't great, which is a little disappointing, but you work with what you have, and we've got kids out there that they give it all they've got, and that's all you can ask of them. Hopefully, we maybe some breaks go your way, and you don't make too many mistakes. But we'll certainly show up Friday night and go compete and see if it would. That'd be a pretty special night. I know I don't know if any of the coaches will sleep between now and Friday night, but hopefully we'll keep our players intact and we'll be ready to go. And it's pretty neat stuff. High school football in Montana is I go back to the Kenny Chesney song, "The Boys of Fall." I'll have to play that at my funeral one day, because that I could listen to that song a million times and go, that is Montana football and small town football, and I think every word in that song is just means the world to me, because I've experienced it and been a part of it, and even on the bigger stages, it still comes back to Montana high school football on Friday nights, and to me it's pretty darn exciting.
Well, a quick plug on this, okay, for the city of Missoula especially, who is going to be the primary audience here on the radio and so forth. Go to this game, okay? There's no doggone Grizz game even on Saturday. They got a bye week, and you're looking for something to do. This is going to be a great game. Two of the premier players in the state, and Raleigh Wooster and Jackson Lee going against each other, and Hellgate and Sentinel for the for the city championship. And it's just going to be a great night at Missoula County Stadium on Friday. Get the family together and go enjoy some high school football, for crying out loud, on Friday.
Well, I would think that stadium is going to be fairly full. We went to the Sentinel Butte game 2 weeks ago, and that was a packed house. And I would hope that with Crosstown on Friday night and hopefully a decent night, and like you said, net Grizzly action going on, it should be a lot of fun. I hope our kids go compete and hope it's a heck of a game. And that was kind of like with Sentinel Butte. That was a dandy, and to come down to the wire, it's just great. It's a great atmosphere and great high school football. To me, what else would you rather do on a Friday night, right? But maybe I'm a little biased.
Before we get into some of your past accomplishments and your playing career, Brian Salonen joined us on the ESPN Roundtable presented by Paradise Falls. I got one last question for you, just kind of about high school football in general. Just kind of, Ryan always makes fun of me because I'm the relatively young guy who's always moaning about the state of society. But you see numbers down across the state when it comes to football. I heard that CMR's dressing only 80 kids right now, which, if you remember the heyday of the Rustlers, they had 200 kids standing on the sidelines for home games, and Great Falls High was the same way. And I know numbers are down across the state. There was a Highline game between Glendive and Havre that was canceled last week because of low attendance. So what do you think of just the state of the game of football and just the dwindling numbers when it comes to youth sports?
Well, yeah, it's sad. I still think, again, I'm a little biased, but I think football is the greatest team sport in the world. You got to have 11 guys at all times, hopefully doing the same thing and the right thing. It's, between the concussion thing and injuries, it's kind of like I tell our kids, football's hard. First of all, you got to be. It's kind of a goofy game. I mean, there's not a lot of people that just want to smash into somebody else and hit somebody as hard as they can. I mean, I'll admit I'm probably a little goofy, but it's hard and it hurts and you're sore and it's mentally certainly conditioning and difficult, but gosh darn, you'll never. There's almost every meeting I have every day, somebody asks me about what's going on with Hellgate or football, and I certainly love to talk about it. But yeah, it's too bad. The concussion thing, I certainly understand. Been through and witnessed several of them. But anybody listening, I would say, you know what, the odds of that happening, it certainly can. But the publicity of it all, I think, is, again, kind of a media thing where I don't know. I'm still able to think and do things pretty well and played that goofy game for a long time. But I certainly understand the concern of parents with health and injuries. But on the other hand, people can get hurt doing a lot of things, and I still and again, safety-wise, equipment-wise, helmet-wise, I mean, things are, as with technology, it's so much different than when I played, and we don't have a ton of kids that go through that, and again, I don't know, I probably had 8 or 10 of them, and a lot of them undiagnosed because they didn't do that back then, but I just, still the thrill of competing and the opportunity to go whack somebody as hard as you can is, I don't know, it's a goofy thing, but it's the coolest thing ever.
Brian Salonen joining us, former University of Montana football player, former Great Falls High football player, and former Dallas Cowboy as well. And Brian, let's go back to your time at Great Falls and coming out of Great Falls. You're an outstanding, all-state football player, also basketball player there at Great Falls High. You get a scholarship to go to the University of Montana. Was there ever any question that you would go to the University of Montana? Where else did you have opportunities to play and think about possibly going?
Well, it might be a set-up question, but only for 18 years was I going to be a Bobcat. My dad,
I've done my research, BS.
What's that?
I said I've done my research. I know how to lead a horse to water here.
Yeah, I'll drink it. My dad going to school there and is in the Hall of Fame for basketball. I think he still holds the record for the most games ever played by a basketball player, which he's proud of. My older brother went to Bozeman as an educator, and there was no doubt that that's where I was going from as far as I could ever remember. We went to all the games. We were friends with Sonny Holland and Sonny Lubick and Cliff Heisel and all of those guys. But maybe there was a little assumption that I was probably just going to go there, and I don't think they really thought that they had to work very hard to get me to go there. And all of a sudden, Larry Donovan and Bob Lowry and Joe Glenn and Mike Van Diest show up in Missoula, and they recruited like I've never seen the process happen. And gosh darn it, they certainly convinced me that we could maybe help to make a difference here in Missoula and at the university. And it really, once the process started, there wasn't a lot of doubt that I was coming here instead of Bozeman.
It's easy to forget because Montana then, after you guys won that 1982 Big Sky Championship, the Grizz program took off and really reached heights it's never seen before. And the construction of Washington Grizzly Stadium, combined with the hiring of Don Reed, combined with the recruitment of Dave Dickinson, all these different factors went into the rise and then the sustained powerhouse that Montana was. But it's easy to forget that the Bobcats were the team of the decade in Montana in the 70s. Sonny Holland led the Cats to 6 wins and 7 outings against the Grizz. Bobcats won 3 Big Sky titles, maybe even 4 during that decade. And Montana had not really been competitive with the Cats in a long time until that 1982 team where you guys beat Montana. So not only is your dad a Montana State Hall of Famer, but they had all the momentum in the state at that point. So was it a tough decision? And what was it like sort of helping turn the tide in Montana's favor and sort of laying the groundwork for what Montana became?
Yeah, well, Larry Donovan brainwashed me and said that, you come here and others will follow and you guys are going to make a difference. And I was probably dumb enough to believe it. And I don't know if he was filling me full of stuff or what, but, I come here and then Gary Lowry and Tony Fudge from CMR and Tim Wynn from Havre and lots of others. I mean, our freshman class was they're some pretty darn good athletes, not only in the state of Montana, but then throughout the country. But and we got thrown in the fire early. The Grizzlies, you're right, they weren't very good. They did have Rocky Cleaver, and he certainly makes a difference when he's on the football field. And I got to watch him play, and then obviously became one of my best buddies here. And a lot of us had to play as freshmen. We didn't redshirt, and that freshman year we got beat up a little bit, but gosh darn, then we kind of grew up quickly, and even as sophomores, you feel like you've been playing long enough, and obviously Marty Morningwig was our trigger man, and he and I ended up having to start as freshmen, and gosh darn, he was magical back there, and one of the toughest quarterbacks I've ever known, and had an attitude of we were going to kick some ass and get after it, and that was Marty, and thankfully I got to be on the receiving end of a lot of footballs thrown by Marty. I certainly wouldn't. There's no way that I would continue a football career without Marty and without Larry Donovan and Joe Glenn and Bob Lowry allowing me or throwing me the football. I mean, a lot of people have said, wouldn't it be a love to play for Don Reed? And I'm sure that would have been a wonderful experience, but everybody else would have caught the footballs and I wouldn't have. And I was just, with Bob Lowry and Joe's sprint draw offense, I don't know why they threw it to me, but they did, and it all worked out, and that wouldn't have happened in a lot of other systems.
Well, you certainly did catch the ball a lot. To be exact, 151 times, which at the time was the all-time leader in receptions in the history of the school, and also you led the nation in terms of receptions per game for tight ends at 6.8 per catch. In I believe 1983. So impressive work by you there. I know you don't have those stats memorized. I was just letting you know, what a prolific career you had there at the University of Montana. And as Coulter said, Montana had its struggles in football kind of up to that point, but then you were on this team that wins the Big Sky Conference, and one of the first ones in a while for Montana, and that team really did start to change the tide and the momentum in the state and in the conference, frankly, for the Grizzlies, right?
Well, yeah, it's funny what winning does for a program, and again, Larry was was a wonderful marketer of Grizzly football, and let his young coaches coach, and obviously they were pretty good because so many of them went on to much bigger and greater things. But it's kind of crazy how it all happened, and it is pretty neat if you take the time to think back and go, gosh darn, maybe we did make a difference and kind of got things rolling a little bit on this side of the state.
Brian Salonen joining us, the subject of our ESPN Roundtable, former Grizz, former Dallas Cowboy football player. We'll get in briefly here to the NFL side of this thing, but I want to ask you about Montana now. You live in Missoula, and the Grizzlies have been fledgling for the last several years, frankly, and this year have been just about as dominant as a team can be. What do you think about the Montana Grizzly football team here in 2019 with Bobby Hauck in his second year in his second tenure?
Well, I didn't think it would take Bobby long. He certainly proved his first stint what kind of a coach he is, and he certainly has an amazing staff. With a lot of those guys with Brent and Barry and Chad and Justin and all those guys, they do a heck of a job, and they work really, really hard, and they don't like to lose. And that toughness thing, that Montana toughness thing, I think Bobby probably preaches it every day, but they're disciplined, they're well coached, they're conditioned, and they hit. And you start getting kids to believe in that, and you're probably going to start winning some football games. But the way they've dominated a few, and even when they haven't started out of the blocks in very good shape for a quarter or a half, holy smokes, what they've finished with. You guys know the stats better than I but they have absolutely dominated second halves of football games. And again, maybe that's attitude, and maybe it's conditioning, or they just they do things right. And I did text him, might have been after the UC Davis game, and say that's about as perfect as a half as I've ever seen on the football field. And they when they racked off 45 straight points or whatever it was, that's pretty special. And again, now you got those kids believing, and it'll be fun it's probably nice to have a little bye week this week and get a little rest and get some bumps and bruises fixed up, and then get ready for the home stretch. But hey, congratulations to all of them. I know how hard they work and how much it means to win in Montana.
We got to ask about your time with the Dallas Cowboys, because that's definitely a crucial part of your story. So when you first made it to the NFL and you're going to go play for Tom Landry, did you have a welcome to the NFL moment?
Well, yeah, two of them. Number one, Gil Brandt calls me again way back then. No,
he's still doing it now.
No media, no nothing. Nobody even probably knew that the draft was happening. And probably at about 10 o'clock, I get a call from Gil Brandt and said, "You're part of the Dallas Cowboys." And he kind of made the comment like, "Well, I hope we can get your deal done. We don't want you. We hope that all works out." And I'm like, "A deal done? I'm a 10th round draft choice. What do you pay me a couple $1,000 and I'll be there?" I mean, holy smokes! And then I'll still never forget. You think you're maybe pretty good, and first day I think I showed up at. I actually finished school early and went down in May, and the Cowboys, their old weight room was literally outside in the 100-degree or 110-degree baking heat. You had to wear gloves to lift because the bars were so hot. That was interesting that the famous Dallas Cowboys had a facility like that. Obviously, that's changed over the years. But Randy White was bench pressing, and he was bench pressing 525 pounds, and I literally took one step out. I looked at that, and I walked back into the locker room and had to reevaluate things a little bit and say, oh, my. I probably used a few words that you can't use on the radio, but I'm going, this is a little bit different than what I'm used to. And that was kind of the start of saying, oh, my, you're going to have to work so hard. And and let's see how this all works out. But it did, and it certainly never forget the opportunity. I was never a Cowboys fan. Never liked them. Never liked that funny guy with the hat. They always won. They were always on TV. And gosh darn it, when they call your name and you have that opportunity, it's I don't know. That Cowboy thing is the goofiest. That might be the greatest. Besides Michael Jordan and Nike and maybe Bo Jackson and Nike, that Cowboy star is the craziest marketing in the world. And everybody, they either loved him or they hated them, but they were all interested. And it continues today, even though that team really hasn't won in about 20 years, but they're talked about every day. Everybody has high expectations. They don't always live up to them, but that star on the helmet is amazing. And to look at the jersey and to look at my old helmet every once in a while and say, wow, I was pretty fortunate. That was a good situation for me.
You know, have you ever gotten to go back to Dallas and attend a game, or maybe I know sometimes teams have these alumni get-togethers and that sort of thing over the years. Have you ever been a participant in any of that kind of stuff?
No, and I think certainly there's more opportunities if you lived in Dallas,
right?
To do some of those things, but no, I mean in truth and fairness, I'm probably a forgotten commodity after so many years. And even I've had buddies call and say, hey, can you get tickets? And I'm not even lying. No, not really. I have to call just like everybody else does. And so they don't really, I'm sure the Hall of Famers and the Tony Dorsetts and the Randy Whites and others that maybe live in that area and are on their Hall of Fame get a little different treatment than some Montana kid that played there for a few years. And no, I don't. I think a lot of teams are much better at that. The Cowboys, in my mind, never were very good about that. And again, if you're in Dallas, I'm sure there's probably an event or two that you can go to, but now being up here in Montana, I don't really get that opportunity, and that's fine. I mean, wouldn't really know anybody down there now anyway. They're all gone or dead, but yeah, it's I certainly look at their new stadium and what Jerry Jones has done, and again, even though he hasn't won a whole bunch, I think he bought that team for, I don't know, $130, $150 million, and I thought I heard it's like $5.5 billion, $6 billion now. So the marketing of the Cowboys continues.
So if you and I go in together, we can buy it from him, right? We got to pile our resources.
Yeah, might have to throw in a few more, but we could. Yeah, I don't know. We could put a down payment down for like 10 seconds. Maybe that would add up.
Right. Well, Brian, we certainly appreciate you being with us, man, as always. Your story is such a fun one, and you tell it so well, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again next time on down the road, okay?
That sounds great, guys. Always appreciate it and appreciate you thinking about me, and it's just great to visit with you guys anytime. I'm always available, and again, I love your show. You guys are the best in the business, and how you come up with content every single day and keep people entertained. It's you do a great job. So congratulations to you guys.
Well, we appreciate it. It's easy, man. We call you. That's what we do.
Exactly.
That's what the show is. So it's not hard for us.
Well, anytime. I just love it. And again, I thank you for thinking about me and cheer on those Hellgate nights Friday night.
There you go. We certainly will be looking forward to the game on Friday, and our thanks to Brian Salonen. Always a blast to talk to him. All the goofy stuff. Brian Salonen getting it done. We appreciate that very much. It's our ESPN Roundtable, and it is presented, Coulter, by Paradise Falls.
Paradise Falls at 3621 Brook Street, your go-to spot south side of Missoula. They have 18 draft beers. They rotate those all the time. Probably now that it's October, probably getting some of your winter beers in. So if your Oktoberfests and your dark lagers and the stouts and all those sorts of things, so go check them out. They always have a couple new beers on tap over there. One of the best happy hours in town, one of the best late happy hours in town. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's very few places you can find breakfast, lunch, dinner, and happy hour. One spot. Plus, they got 30 big screen TVs. So if you need anywhere to watch any game whatsoever, just go check them out at Paradise Falls. Paradise Falls, 3621 Brook Street in Missoula. Missoula's coolest hotspot.
We combine quality ingredients with home-style recipes to create the Montana Club's fall comfort food menu. Savor our tender boneless beef short rib or caramelized brandy apple pork shank. Dig into our classic savory chicken pot pie or fall for our zesty skillet lasagna. Top things off with our creamy pumpkin skillet a la mode. Scratch-made comfort food that's as real as it gets. Served 11:30 to close at the Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
In Western Montana, we know shopping local matters, and you may think you'd pay more for the quality and customer service that comes with it, but not at Selway Armory. Selway Armory is locally owned with knowledgeable specialists that can answer your questions. In addition to the expertise, though, Selway Armory also has a bigger selection and lower prices than the box stores. When you're in the market for firearms and accessories, save money with the experts at Selway Armory. Selway Armory, 2825 Stockyard Road, Unit E6, and online at selwayarmory.com.
If you are hurt or disabled, you may be entitled to benefits from an insurance company or Social Security. I'm Chris Helmer, an attorney at Clark Fork Law Offices. Our Missoula firm specializes in worker compensation, personal injury, and Social Security disability. There are many unknowns when injured or disabled. The other side is fighting hard. You should too. Call Clark Fork Law at 728-0168 for a free consultation or visit clarkforklaw.com. Again, 728-0168.
Jayco and Rangish Brothers end-of-the-year clearance event is going on now. Our entire lot is on sale, so if you've been waiting for a smoking hot deal on fifth wheels, campers, toy haulers, and motorhomes, there is no better time to buy than now. Save big on a Jayco J-Flight Bunkhouse SLX with payments as low as $99 per month OAC. Or get huge savings on a 2019 Jayco Eagle fifth wheel, starting at only $28,750. Don't miss our final sales event of the year. Only where a handshake means something. Rangish Brothers RV Center.
The Dog and Bicycle Cafe in Old Sawmill District is turning 3, and they're celebrating by giving back to Missoula. October 10th from 6 to 8 p.m., Dog and Bicycle will host a silent art auction and raffle to benefit Free Cycles, the awesome community bike shop that keeps Missoula rolling year-round. Stop by, bid on art and gift baskets donated by local artists and businesses, and enjoy music, beverages, and snacks. The Dog and Bicycle 3rd birthday celebration is all about giving back to Missoula, Thursday the 10th from 6 to 8 at Dog and Bicycle Cafe on Wyoming.
Hi, this is Michael Legg, Artistic Director at Montana Repertory Theater. If you loved our season opener, Go Please Go, or even if you missed it but still want to see the rest of the season, you're in luck. Season ticket packages are still on sale for just $70. That's $70 for 3 more innovative and exciting shows, including our production of War of the Worlds in January. Go to montanarep.com to get your tickets today.
Tutel and Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio for Missoula.
Midnight City, man, this is an all-timer. When did this come out? 2017? 2016, something like that? This is going to be around for a long time. Telling you what, M83. They came to Missoula, like a year ago, something like that? Nice. I didn't get to the show, though. What are you texting? Who you texting?
I'm looking up Midnight City.
Oh, really?
Just to see when it came out. 2011.
Little late there by me. Mm-hmm. Overshot. It's Tutel and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. We are broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula. Time flies, man. I got kids. I can't.
Who you
texted? No idea. Also, online at kurtzpolaris.com. If you missed anything in the show, check it out on the podcast. The podcast available on the TuneIn Radio app, iTunes, Spotify, all of those places. Podcast available thanks to the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel. Speaking of podcast, we did it again today, this morning. David, he's working on it right now, pumping this thing out there. The FCS Speculators, a betting podcast, going to be out later on today. So look for that on all your favorite podcasting platforms as well. If you search Tutel and Nuanez, that will come up as well. Episode 3 today. That was a fun episode. A couple of great guests and, I mean, everything you and I do is just, I mean, it's just Emmy. What do we call it? Oscar? Grammy? What are we winning here?
Granny?
What are the podcasts winning? Are we gonna get a podcast deal going?
The Blueberries or something?
The Blueberries?
One of the first podcasting hosting platforms was the Blueberries.
Okay.
I don't know.
Maybe that's the original. Hey, I'm with that.
Who would have ever thought? I don't know. Are you excited for the Motel 6 on Friday night?
Very excited. Yeah.
Brian's right. This shows you how famous we are and how much money we really make. He's taken to his wife on the way to Bozeman for their 10th anniversary to Motel 6 in Butte, America.
Here's the thing about it. Give away my location, I don't want to have to fight through the fans to get to the door. But
you actually have some fans.
I get off work at 6, obviously.
Yeah.
And now we're headed to Bozeman. But by the time you get to Bozeman, man, if you leave it, and we got to go home, say bye to the kids. My, brother, my folks are taking care of them for the weekend, so thank you very much to them on that. But then, you get out of town, now it's 6:30, 7 o'clock, haven't eaten dinner probably, and now you're going to drive to Bozeman, get to Bozeman at 10:30, and then what? So I was like, well,
if you could make a late night eatery in Bozeman, you could be a rich man. Because ironically, it's a college town, but there's nowhere to eat.
No place to eat.
It drives me crazy. They closed the Perkins, so now you don't even have the Perkins. You can't go anywhere.
If you're watching us in Bozeman on SWX, make $1 million and serve food after, 9 p.m.
Anything
in your town.
Anything
at all.
Sandwich, hamburger.
Just warmed up tortillas. Shove them out the window. Whatever. Anything. It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
So... Anyhow, so that's also another reason not to go to Bozeman the night of, you know what I mean? Stop in Butte, get a little of the history, go around, maybe walk around. How late's Metals open? Metals open late?
Yeah, I don't know how late they do food, but it's a bar, so it's open till bar time for the beers.
Well, we'll go see. I'm sure we'll have ourselves an enjoyable evening. We did go to Anaconda for a one particular.
You ever been to Lydia's?
Yes, I was at Lydia's, but we went to Anaconda for I guess it wasn't an anniversary. Well, it was a weekend getaway prior to the birth of a child before all the chaos breaks loose.
Yeah.
Tina VRBO'd us into a bomb shelter in Anaconda, which was remarkable. Literally windowless, not one window. When I walked in, I was like, "Tina, you notice anything about this?" Like, not really. I was like, well, it's worth the $37 we paid for it. I'll start there. Second of all, there's not actually a window to the outside world.
Was it actually designed as a bomb shelter?
No.
Is that a fact?
It was actually like the back, of what was once a bar. And the bar's dilapidated and everything, but they renovated. It was a fun place. It was cool. They had a little, a phonograph in there playing music for us. The whole thing, it was great. But I woke up to go to in the morning. I said, Tina, what time do you think it is? She's like, I don't know, 3 a.m. It's 9:30 in the morning. Darkness in there. So, stop over in Butte. Stop over in Bozeman. Going to be a great weekend. Enough, though. Enough about me. More about baseball. ALDS tonight, ESPN Radio. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Tires. We've been helping keep folks safe on the road around here since 1952. That's why you can save up to $152 on a set of 4 select light truck and SUV tires during our fall tire sale. So swing by or book an appointment at leschwab.com. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952. Limited time offer while supplies last. Discount depends on tire size and type. Cannot be combined with other offers. Details at leschwab.com.
On Russell, across from the fairgrounds.
Alpine Touch has been part of the fabric of Montana for more than 60 years. Decades ago, Russell Street started selling his touch of magic in whitefish. Years later, Alpine Touch's all-purpose seasoning remains a favorite. It's tailgating season, and there's no better way to spice up your grill before a Grizz game than with Alpine Touch. Go to alpinetouch.com now and use the checkout code ESPN10 for a 10% discount on your order. Alpine Touch is here to keep your mouth watering all football season. Alpine Touch, Montana's special spice. Hey folks, Ryan Tutel, and I'm here with Josh of The Advocates. Josh, do most injury accidents end up in court?
Luckily, most personal injury cases can be settled out of court through a fair negotiation with an insurance company. However, sometimes it is necessary. I'm prepared to do whatever it takes to get a fair settlement. Luckily, most personal injury cases can be settled out of court with a fair negotiation with the insurance company. However, I'm prepared to do whatever it takes to get the right settlement for you.
It's Josh at The Advocates, 640-4444, or online at montanaadvocates.com.
It's a rite of passage, that first bank account. Explore the great options for your young adult with a visit to Farmer State Bank, online at farmersebank.com or in person at any of our 9 locations in western Montana. Our checking and savings accounts are designed to fit any lifestyle and budget, with the flexibility, innovations, and security today's consumers demand. Start out right with Farmer State Bank, your Montana bank since 1907. Member FDIC.
Get ready to sing, dance, and laugh until your cheeks hurt with the interactive, unforgettable Dueling Pianos show, October 19th at the UC Ballroom. Dueling Pianos is a gala benefiting Montana children, and you can help by purchasing tickets at montanahope.org. Guests will enjoy a lively evening of dueling pianos, hors d'oeuvres, silent auctions, and raffles. All proceeds will benefit the Montana Hope Project and Catholic Social Services of Montana. Kids 10 and under are free. Learn more and purchase tickets at montanahope.org.
Are you interested in putting solar panels on your roof? Do you want the latest on Montana's renewable energy policies? The Montana Renewable Energy Association is a leading voice for renewable energy, education, and advocacy in Montana. From community-based clean energy events to advocating at the Montana legislature, they work to ensure Montana's future is powered by the sun, wind, and earth. Find out more about MREA and join as a member by visiting montanarenewables.org or calling 406-214-9405.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula.